This is a second and third stimulus check update. Yesterday was the big meeting between the 8 Republicans, 8 Democrats, and new National Economic Advisor about the upcoming stimulus package. I'll give you the important details of what came out of that meeting as well as the response from Senate Republicans. Chuck Schumer, new Senate Majority Leader, had a press conference talking about his new top 3 priorities over the next 2 weeks, one of them being passing the stimulus package with stimulus checks through the reconciliation process. Ron Klain, new chief of staff, talks about a 2-week deadline to pass this next stimulus package with stimulus checks. Plus, I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments about the $600 stimulus check. I hope you're having a great day so far. Quick reminder, I'm giving out $200 checks to my subscribers, and I'll have details to that down in the description below. So I want to get your opinion on this first. Miami Heat is a basketball team. They're going to have coronavirus sniffing dogs at their stadium to bring more fans back. And when the dog smells a fan who has COVID, then they're going to be removed from the stadium. So let me know, is this a good idea? Is this going to be our future moving forward? We're going to have COVID sniffing dogs at grocery stores, office buildings. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. So, Chief of Staff Ron Klain to President Biden is talking about the 2-week deadline to pass this next stimulus package with the $1,400 stimulus checks. Here is the clip of what he says in this right here.
I want to ask you about COVID relief, the $1.9 trillion bill that you have proposed. Here's what Punchbowl reported about Speaker Pelosi on Saturday. Speaker Nancy Pelosi told donors on a Zoom call Thursday night that she wanted to pass Biden's COVID relief bill in 2 weeks using budget reconciliation. Look, I think a lot of us have identified that congressional Democratic leadership may have much less patience than President Biden has in trying to find bipartisan cooperation. What is that level of patience? How much patience does President Biden have in trying to find 10 Republicans and avoid having to do this on a party line vote?
Well, we're going to move fast and we're going to move bipartisan. As you said at the top of the show, the president's chief economic advisor is meeting by phone, Zoom today, with 16 senators, 8 Democrats, 8 Republicans. We're reaching out to people. I don't think bipartisanship and speed are enemies of one another. The need is urgent. Americans, both Democrats and Republicans, are dying. Kids' schools that take care of both Democratic and Republican kids are closed. People are on unemployment. People are in food lines. That's not a party issue. So I think let's try to move on a bipartisan basis. Let's try to move quickly. Speed is very important here, Chuck.
Are you willing, for instance, to table your push for upping the minimum wage if it got you the 10 Republicans you needed and you got everything else?
Chuck, I'm not going to negotiate on Meet the Press.
Why
Look,
not?
Our goal is to raise the minimum wage. It's something that, well, it doesn't seem like it's the most effective way to get things done, in my view. But look, here's the point, though, which is the president put a plan before the country. And I think that's what the country wanted to hear. You know, I think, again, without delving back into the past, I think we didn't have this kind of leadership before. He said, here's what needs to happen. And we're very dedicated to passing the minimum wage. We think that's an urgent priority. We're going to push the Congress to pass our priorities, and that includes the minimum wage. And so what we want to do is work with the Congress, reach out to members in both parties, see what we can get done as quickly as possible. We certainly think the minimum wage should be part of this urgent relief package.
Chuck Todd brings up a great point with the $15 an hour minimum wage increase. Is that a deal breaker if it's not in the next stimulus package? Many Republicans have said that they do not want it because it is not related to COVID relief. Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Is it a deal breaker if it's in or out of the package? I'm curious about your thoughts. So moving on, Chuck Schumer, the new Senate Majority Leader, had a press conference and he talked about 3 priorities. But first, there was a little bit of a power struggle between Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer. Mitch McConnell is now the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer the Senate Majority Leader. What he said is Mitch McConnell will not dictate to the Senate what we should do and how we should proceed. McConnell is no longer the Majority Leader, and in every Senate in the past, they have come to an agreement on an organizing resolution, Democrats and Republicans, to move forward. McConnell is standing in the way. way. So I guess there's some problems between McConnell and Schumer, and Schumer not too happy with it. But most importantly, in his press conference, he spoke about there were 3 essential items on our plate: the trial of President Trump, now that the House impeached him, bold, strong COVID relief, and approving the president's cabinet. So I'm going to play this clip now of what he talks about with the strong COVID relief right now. Here's what he says and about the reconciliation process.
Okay. Comment on the status of that investigation?
Yes. Okay. 2 things. First, the number one need for America is for bold, strong relief. We have the greatest economic crisis we've had in 75 years since the Great Depression. We've had the greatest healthcare crisis in 100 years since the Spanish pandemic flu wreaked havoc across the globe 100 years ago, a century ago. And so we need a big, bold plan. We hope the Republicans will join us in that. Now, some of the remarks from some of the Republican leaders has not been very positive, but there's a meeting today at the White House, and I am hopeful that Republicans will see the need. But if they don't, there are tools we can use to move forward on our own, and we will, because the number one goal is a bold package that meets the needs of the American people. Back in 2008, the arrow was whittled down, and the recovery took a decade. We cannot go through that again.
Chuck Schumer saying that the Democrats will move forward with passing the stimulus package with or without Republican support. Now, President Biden wants to be bipartisan and be a little more patient, but it seems that the Senate Democrats want to just move forward and pass this immediately. Yesterday, the White House had a phone call with senators to drum up bipartisan support for the COVID relief package. So it was 8 Democrat senators, 8 Republican senators, and the National Economic Advisor, Brian Deese. This conversation lasted about an hour and 15 minutes, and Senator Angus King from Maine said, if you were just listening on the call, I don't think you would have been able to tell who were the Republicans and who were the Democrats and who were independents. So this is good news. I guess it was a productive call because they said there was absolute consensus when it comes to the needs for speeding up the rate of vaccination. So when it comes to vaccination, it seems that Republicans, Democrats were all on board. They were all for that. But what about the stimulus package? So Republican Senator from Maine, Susan Collins, said in a statement, it seems premature to be considering a package of this size and scope. That concern, which I had prior to the briefing, remains a concern of mine. So whether before or after the meeting, it seems that Senate Republicans have the same idea that it is too soon to move forward and it is too big, because she goes on to say that she will suggest our bipartisan bicameral group get together and see if we could come up with a more targeted package that would address the unmet needs that we are experiencing now. So Republicans want to wait a bit and have a smaller package that is targeted. Seems to be the same storyline that we've seen over the past 8 months, but now the Democrats have a new tool in their tool set, which is the reconciliation, which Bernie Sanders seems to be talking about a lot. So Bernie Sanders said that the Senate may use the budget reconciliation to pass the Biden agenda. Bernie Sanders, who is now the budget chair for the Senate, has the power to just pass through this stimulus package without any Republican support, which he talks about in this clip right now, which he was just on CNN, talking about the need for stimulus and the need for stimulus checks right now. Here's that clip of Bernie Sanders.
You've suggested that Democrats might need to use a process called reconciliation, which requires only 51 votes instead of the 60 to pass the coronavirus relief plan. You just heard Mitt Romney say that Republicans like him have shown that they are ready to compromise. So should Democrats move to pass coronavirus relief with 51 votes if they can't get Republican support, say, before the impeachment trial?
Well, I don't know what the word compromise means. I know that working families are living today in more economic desperation than since the Great Depression. And if Republicans are willing to work with us to address that crisis, welcome, let's do it. But what we cannot do is wait weeks and weeks and months to go forward. We have got to act now. That is what the American people want. Now, as you know, reconciliation, which is a Senate rule, was used by the Republicans under Trump to pass massive tax breaks for the rich and large corporations. It was used as an attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And what we are saying is you use it for that, that's fine. We're going to use reconciliation, that is 50 votes in the Senate plus the vice president, to pass legislation desperately needed by working families in this country right now. You did it, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it to protect ordinary people, not just the rich and the powerful.
And what's your timeline on that?
As soon as we possibly can. Look,
You are the chairman of the Budget Committee, you are already talking about using this tactic for things like paid family and medical leave, for universal pre-K and childcare, for climate change, tuition-free college, eliminating student debt, and the $15 minimum wage. How is that not what you criticize Republicans for doing?
well, the devil is in the details of what we want to do and when we want to do it and when we have to do it. What we are talking about, by the way, are two separate reconciliation packages. Number one, the emergency one right now.
Right.
Get direct checks, get those checks into people's pockets right now so they can feed their families. And make sure that people are not evicted from their homes. Make sure that states have the funds they need to get vaccines into people's homes. That's what we've got to do right now. And then as soon as that is done, we have to rebuild this economy. Unemployment is much, much too high. Wages are much, much too low.
Bernie Sanders alluded to the emergency relief for reconciliation process, which would just be vaccine distribution and stimulus checks of $1,400. So there have been rumors going around over the past few weeks saying that the Democrats may just have a standalone bill with just vaccine distribution and stimulus checks, which he would use the reconciliation process for, but not the entire $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Should there just be a standalone bill of vaccine distribution and stimulus checks, or should there be an entire package of everything together? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. Now I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. So Brenda Beard asks, where do you apply for student loan assistance for forgiveness? So currently the forgiveness hasn't passed yet. Joe Biden, or President Biden, has spoken about that, but he did not pass anything. He campaigned on at least $10,000 in student loan forgiveness, but that hasn't happened yet. Christy Chilson asks, my son was filed as a dependent in 2019, but moved out in the beginning of 2020. Will he receive anything when he files his taxes in 2020 for his 2020 taxes? So the IRS doesn't care whether he moved in or lives with you forever. The only thing that they care about is if he was claimed as a dependent. If he was not claimed as a dependent moving forward, then he may receive the third stimulus check with or without being claimed as a dependent, because as of now, the third stimulus check, adult dependents will receive that $1,400. Robert Stamper asks, can you change the way you receive future stimulus checks? At this time, no. Before the Get My Payment tool, you were able to go in there, change your address, change your bank account information. At this time, you can't change any way you receive future stimulus checks unless you file a tax return with a different address or different bank account attached to that. But that's kind of a longer process. Ginger Clark says, thanks for sharing your Social Security question. Also, Ginger Clark, thank you for all the comments. I see you leave it on my other channels as well. Appreciate that. Next question, Brianna Alfaro asks, I got my first stimulus check direct deposit, but the Get My Payment tool online says they mailed the check for the second stimulus on January 6th, but I still haven't received it. How long should I wait, and what could I do if I never get it? So I've been getting this question a lot about a check being mailed on January 6th, but you haven't received it yet, even if you received a direct deposit with the first stimulus check. So I looked on the IRS website, and what they said is that the Get My Payment tool reflects a date your payment was mailed. It may take up to 3 to 4 weeks to receive the payment. So if they're saying that it was mailed out January 6th, it could be 3 to 4 weeks. We're looking into February because we're not counting Sundays as mailing days. So it could be a while. Also keep a lookout for debit cards. It could be a debit card as well, or a physical check. That is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To brighten your day a bit, here is my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, how you doing? I want to give you 3 things of the tip of the day. So first off, be happy, be grateful, and be humble. And then I want to do one more thing to you. Do the things that you want to do in a lifetime. Guys, you guys can do whatever you want, at least if you want to do it. Because I'm here for you, you guys like us.
And if you want to keep the positive vibes going and feel in a better mood, feel inspired, I recommend clicking this video over here. I just published it on my Wise Vibes video. It's by Denzel Washington saying that dreams without goals are just dreams. It's a very inspiring talk. So listen to Denzel Washington by clicking this video over here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.